Welcome to Bike Touring Australia, where we will be riding from Gladstone to Brisbane via some Queensland rail trails before hitting the New South Wales coast on our way towards Sydney. Arriving in Brisbane Airport, we quickly jumped on a late train to Gladstone to get started. 2:30 in the morning here in Gladstone, just got off the train, good to go. We decided to try out not sleeping and rode off into the night to see how many kilometres we could cover before watching the sunrise over the Queensland countryside, and pretty soon we made our way onto some great gravel country roads. Over the next 10 days or so, we're going to be riding from Gladstone to Ipswich, linking up a bunch of the rail trails along the way, ending with the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail. The weather is perfect so far. The countryside's beautiful. I'm looking forward to seeing what Queensland riding has to offer. We spent our first night sleeping at Boyndale Bush Camp, one of Queensland's many great free campsites, before starting out the next day on a small stretch of trail that runs right off the back of the campground. After an impromptu cattle roundup, we quickly reached some tarmac and set our sights on our next destination, which was the Boyne Burnett Inland Rail Trail. Our first official rail trail for our time in Australia, it took us through plenty of mixed terrain, which was mostly pretty well kept and easy riding. Unfortunately, the old bridges on this trail haven't been repaired yet, so down through the old riverbeds we went. Hopefully, with growing popularity of the trails and more use, the bridges will be repaired and usable in the future. There's some great scenery along this trail, as well as some cool old tunnels, and it was a lot of fun riding it towards our next campsite, which was at Behind the Pines in the cute little town of Kalpower.
What have we got here?
Peanut butter and banana wraps.
That's an excessive amount of peanut butter.
It's just right. We stuck to small gravel roads as much as we could, where there was always a spot to have a break to dry out our tent or pitch up in a paddock when needed. And pretty soon we reached the Munduburra to Gayndah Trail, which was sandy, overgrown, full of brown snakes and no fun at all. Good little rest spot for a stop of lunch. Today's menu: couscous, bacon bits and parmesan cheese. How is it?
It's good.
One of the funnest trails of this area was the historic Stockman's route starting in Nanango, which took us through some creeks, some peanut butter mud and some good Aussie bush, all the way to the start of the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail at Blackbutt. First day on the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail now. Pretty nice rail trail, nicely groomed, nice countryside. Pretty nice so far. It's our final day on the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail now, not too far from Ipswich. Just camped last night at another pub camp. Brizzy Rail Trail's got heaps of nice camping and lots of varied riding, bit of open countryside like this and some nice bushland area. The hills aren't too bad and this has probably been the best trail of the Queensland section of our trip for sure. Hi, can we come past? I'll go behind, how's that? Not long after the end of the BVRT, we entered the busy Gold Coast, riding along past its high-rises and stunning beaches towards the surprise of a lifetime waiting just around the corner. A dozen of our friends came to surprise us on our route as we reached the Tweed Valley Rail Trail. They travelled from far and wide to ride with us for a day after having not seen them for almost 2 years. It's something we'll never forget and we feel extremely lucky to have such good friends. What a bunch of absolute legends. We've just spent the last week or so riding through the Tweed Valley area, visiting some friends and taking a bit of time off the bikes to hang out with them. Now we're back on the road and we're riding towards a town called New Italy today. So heading south, we'll hit the coast in a few days and then we'll take the coastal route down towards Sydney. But right now we're still out in the country, beautiful countryside in this area, really enjoying it. The weather looks like it's getting a bit colder, maybe some rain, but right now, pretty nice stuff out here. Maybe some rain was being optimistic, as within an hour it started pouring down. We got absolutely smoked by rain last night, so we stopped here in Woodburn and waited out the rain. We'll just have to do more Ks today, so pie for breakfast and we're going to hit the road. We've had about a couple hours of torrential rain. Not great conditions for cycling on the highway, but at least we got muesli bars. The rain continued all day, as did the headwinds, but we had a warm shower and a bed waiting for us with some lovely hosts in the town of Lawrence. So after a night of home comforts, we said goodbye to our hosts and hit the road. The sun was now shining, but it was
bloody windy.
The Bom Bom State Forest Campground, although being what some described as a little bit Ivan Miladdy, provided us with another nice free campsite and some good trails in the morning. Just got to this lovely bit of track that Kamut told us was a path. Clearly not a path. Now we got to cross the railroad tracks just over there. But at least across the tracks was a nice quiet road that led us to another pie shop. With bellies full of pies, we headed through Coffs Harbour, had a day off in Sawtell, and found some more fun riding on the trails of Bongal Bongal National Park.
We're just on our way towards Kempsey today, and there's a lot of Pacific Highway sections of the route at the moment, but if you look for them, there's some nice country road detours as well, just like this one. Pretty standard meal for us, peanut butter and instant noodles. Mwah.
Getting onto the quieter country roads had multiple benefits for us in Australia. Not only was it nice to have better scenery and less traffic, it also meant less chance of being abused by motorists. Australia has a sad mentality towards cyclists that, in contrast to its laid-back reputation, often sees people yelling abuse and being purposefully intimidating as they drive by. It's something I hope changes, but in the meantime, we'll take the scenic route. As we left Kylie's hut campground at Crowdy Bay, we said goodbye to the resident kangaroos and had some good weather and good gravel ahead. But before long, the clouds came over and the skies opened up once again.
Lovely day for it.
What a lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day.
As we entered Mile Lakes National Park, we had a brief respite from the rain and were thinking about camping somewhere along this stretch for the night. But once again, the rain came out and changed our plans. We've ridden this trail between Seal Rocks and Mungo Brush before, and on its day it's a great ride. This was not its day.
Just been battered by some pretty heavy rain the last couple of days, as you can see by this flooded park next to us. It means that the ferry's also cancelled that we were meant to catch today over to Nelson Bay, but the sun is out at the moment, probably going to rain later, but hopefully not too much.
With rain forecast, we filled up on pies and headed for the highway.
This is pretty miserable.
Taking shelter where we could, we had brief patches of sunshine between hours of rain. Riding along the highway wasn't much fun either, but at least there was a good shoulder to ride in, at least for most parts.
Not the best conditions today. It's pissing down with rain. There's a southerly blowing in our face, and we're riding along the highway, but there is some salvation ahead. There's a Macca's coming up, so that means one thing: cheeseburgers. We're good. It just doesn't stop. Just south of Newcastle now on the Fernley track. Much nicer day today. Let's hope it stays this way.
At this point we no longer had the GoPro to film with, as it was in for a service, so sorry about the quality of my phone filming from here on out.
Just on the highway for another stretch as we come into the Central Coast. Getting a little bit of abuse from some car drivers. It's always funny when they try to fit a whole sentence in as they drive past at 100 k's an hour. So yeah, if you're going to abuse us, just keep it short and sweet. It's easier to understand.
As well as some high-speed abuse, we copped some flooding as we made our way into the Central Coast. The recent rain had made local lakes overflow, taking over paths and devastating local homes and businesses.
Riding along a path now that we used to ride along weekly here on the Central Coast. It feels quite weird after being away for about 2 years to be riding somewhere so familiar, so close to home.
Our ride down Australia's east coast has been full of highs with only a few lows. We enjoyed some awesome country road riding, mainly through inland Queensland, as well as some great trails, and tried not to let a bit of rain get us down. Australia is a bit behind the rest of the world in cycling infrastructure, but our bike lanes and rail trails are slowly starting to improve, and I hope our attitude towards cyclists do too. We're off to ride across North America now, from Vancouver to New York, and if you'd like to follow along, subscribe to this channel and find us on Instagram at We Ride Bikes Places.